You deserve to be canceled for not being offended. Don't tell me what to be offended by. You can't tell Native Americans what to be offended by. They're offended by a lot of stuff anyway, some of them. They're offended by this country is even called America. Because I asked a Native American one time, well, what did y'all call this land, or what did your ancestors call this land when white people, before they changed the name of it to America? And this guy said, well, no one's ever told me that the United States had a name before it was called the United States. So, in my opinion, you can't rightfully be mad that someone has named the country that you resided in before they showed up, but they named it America, but you didn't have a name for it. So, you can't really be pissed off. If you would have called this the country something else, like Betty Jr., you know what I mean? If the country was called Betty Jr., just as an example, I know it's sounds right that the country, but if the Indians called the country Betty Jr. and then the white people came and changed it to America, then they could be mad, but they didn't have a name for it. So, therefore, the fact that it's called America, why would you be mad? You just called it land. It was, it's more than that. So, just, progress. But, I've seen several news shows about this name change that the Washington Redskins are supposed to be undertaking very soon, but I don't think they should. I don't think the term Redskin is derogatory towards Native Americans. I've known a few, Native Americans, and none of them ever mentioned that. Not one. And when I asked a Native American Indian how they felt about that term, he said he didn't care. He said, I don't care. That's what the guy said to me, who identified himself as an Indian. He looked like it, but I don't know if he was or not. I give him credit. If you at least look like it, like you have a pretty good tan and you are long black hair and you're crying. No, I'm just kidding. Got a feather in your hair. Oh. You're wearing moccasins. You can shoot a bow and arrow really good. Then I'll take your word for it that you are an Indian. But my lifetime, I get a lot of white people claiming they're Indian. And, you know what I'm saying? Because they got dark hair. They're either saying they're Indian or in the mob. One of those things those two things must be a lot cooler than just admitting you're a white person. Yeah, I'm Italian. I had this guy bragging about being in the mob one time, and then his sister tells everybody that we're not even Italian. He's lying. And I was like, man, that's embarrassing. Although I already knew the guy was lying because I met guys in the mob before. I met some. They never mentioned being in the mob. It was other people who told me, you better watch out for those guys. They're connected. And I was like, oh, yeah? They never mentioned it. Actually, one of them said the mob doesn't exist. That's how I knew he was in it, because he protests too much. You know what I'm saying? You can't go all the way the other way and say the mob doesn't exist. You could just say, no, man, we're not, we're not part of anything like that. And then I might have been like, oh, okay. But if you say the mob doesn't exist, then I'm thinking, oh, he's definitely in it. But anyway, whenever I have seen in news reports and interviews, and this has been over years, people interviewing Native Americans, they've never said they cared about the Redskins as a derogatory term. And they didn't care that. Now, there were some of them that did say that they cared. I just seen one Native American, an American Indian, who was saying, yeah, I don't like that the Redskins are called the Redskins. What if they had a team called the Darkies? I said, Darkie's not a color, dude. A red's a color. So that's not really the same. That's not the same. It's not the comparison. But if you want to make a comparison, I don't think I'd be mad if a professional team wanted to name their nickname, wanted to have their nickname, and the mascot was just a black man, and they called themselves the Brownskins because we already got the Browns, the Cleveland Browns. Only I wouldn't want to have them as, the team for the black people because they're losers. So long as the team was good, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes it can't be good all the time. But the Redskins have won 3 Super Bowls. If I was an American Indian, I'd be happy that they were representing us. I'd be like, yes, sweet. Especially back when they had Doug Williams was the quarterback. They won a Super Bowl. But to me, it's all depends on whether the team is any good. If the team sucks, I'd be like, no, that's really offensive. You really need to change the name until they get good. Then you can change the name back to Redskins. But when they suck, then no, yeah, you gotta change the name. But no, maybe it's just me, but I don't think that's that offensive. That the name of the team is the Redskins. I'd be thrilled if they had a team called the Brownskins, and that team was good, and and then you just make Jim Brown. He was like one of the best football players ever. Make him like the logo. Put that on the side of the helmet. Okay, the Brownskins, and if they was a good team, I'd be like, that's sweet. So yeah, maybe I might be totally off base, but I think I don't think it's a bad thing that the Redskins is the name of a professional football team. I wouldn't be pissed off about that if it was the Brownskins and it was their logo was a black man, long as it wasn't a caricature that is stereotypical. They were making like Chief Wahoo is first off, the Indians should not change their name either, because natives here in the U.S. When Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492, he didn't actually hit America. He hit Cuba. He landed on Cuba, and he thought he was in India. He thought he had sailed around the world and had hit India. That's why he referred to the natives as Indians. Because he thought he ran into India, and he actually had not sailed around the world. See, that's how long they were on the boat. They lost track of time. He would have known that they have to go a lot further before they get to India. But anyway, Christopher Columbus ran into Cuba, thought it was India, and started calling everybody Indians. Plus that, they were dark skinned. And the red comes from being out in the sun all the time, man. Everybody turns red. They were living in teepees. Those are tents, you know what I mean? They spend a lot of time, especially the men. They spend a lot of time outside with their shirts off. So, I don't know. I don't think the Redskins is that bad of a name. The Indians definitely should not change their name, because This is not India. So Christopher Columbus was making a mistake. When he called the people Indians, they weren't in India. Okay, real Indians have a red dot on their forehead. Okay. Real Indians own a lot of gas stations and hotels. I don't know why they end up owning a lot of hotels, but Indian people from India, not Native Americans with feathers in their hair and named Running Bull and stuff like that. Those aren't Indians. So the Cleveland Indians, it's more their logo. That was an Indian whose skin was red. He had a feather in his hair, and he had like a big nose, a big cartoon nose. So that's more of a thing that I would object to if I was a Native American. I wouldn't be that concerned about the name Redskins. Like I said, if the Browns changed their name to Brown Skin and had Jim Brown as the logo on their helmets, and they actually started winning, then I'd be like, oh, sweet. Yeah. I like that, but I'm sure some white lady in Seattle would be pissed off about it and say, you gotta change that or you're canceled. Whoever owned the team. But no, it's just my humble opinion that the Redskins should not change their name, because I don't think it's offensive, but they're not talking about me. But I put myself on that shoes and say, if a team was named Brownskins, I wouldn't be offended, long as the logo wasn't making fun of black people. Have like a guy in blackface with big lips, then I'd be like, nah, that ain't cool. But you have a likeness of Jim Brown or something carrying the ball on the side of the helmets. Team is called the Brownskins, and if they manage to win ever a Super Bowl, then I'd be like, yes. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. So I don't think the Redskins are... I do not believe that the Redskins is a derogatory term to Native Americans. But at least they should ask Native Americans and not just decide just because it's a politically correct time of our existence. I don't know about the whole world, but here in the U.S., it's very politically correct time. Oh, and one other thing before we end the show I wanted to say. I have mentioned non-racist white people because I have been getting a lot of posts on Facebook from non-racist white people who have been making the most ridiculous suggestions and saying the dumbest things that you could ever hear come out of anyone's mouth about protesting. And last week somebody was still criticizing Colin Kaepernick after all this time, and I was like, they were saying he was raised by a white family and he had money and all this stuff, and I was thinking, and I said this, I responded to their dumb post, he didn't do it for himself. So that makes it even better that it wasn't him that was experiencing the police brutality. Oh, they also mentioned that he had over $20 million in the bank. I said, yeah, from playing football and endorsements from Nike taking his back on the protests. But Colin Kaepernick lost his job for standing up or kneeling for what he believed in. Okay? He didn't do